comes in, Kevin, you'll make sure she gets in if you see her.
Yeah, it's an open invitation. It's an open meeting. So
Yeah, okay,
if
great.
she has the link, she gets in.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's get started. On the agenda, first approval of the September minutes. I approve, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Carol?
I
Okay,
did make note of Carol's, I think it was Carol, your correction of Fair House.
Yeah, actually, Ken actually corrected it, but it's true. It is FEHR.
Yes. All right, I'll take
Okay.
care of that.
so you made the correction already, right, Kevin?
I have a note. I didn't make the correction, but it's noted.
Okay, so will you make the correction then and
Of course.
save it as a PDF and just send it off to Mike? This way we'll be
Will
up to date.
Okay.
Okay, excellent, very good. Okay, so okay, next on the agenda, the recertification for climate smart communities. Okay, just a quick update. As you recall from the last meeting, there were two actions pending. One was the social media, which is the Facebook page for the town. I did a whole bunch of flyers. I gave them to Marjorie. She's posted them on the Facebook page. And I documented it all at 3 points. So I think we're good with that one. And then the other action was the greenhouse gas reduction from emissions from government entities, government facilities. Carol, you worked on that. She got the number 20.1% reduction from 2017 to 2020. Okay, so I documented that, Carol. I uploaded your Excel sheet, and I think that's going to be a go. I hope so, because that's 25 points, which
That would be great.
which would be really great. So just by way of summary, we have applied for 247 points.
Wow.
Yeah. However, as I have been saying in the past, there are a couple of those actions that I deem questionable, that I think we may not get approved for. And one is CCA, which we've talked about several times for the last couple of meetings. I'm not sure that we'll get the 18 points for that, for the reasons we've talked about. There's another one that's questionable, the zoning for protection of natural resources. I'm not sure they're going to approve it. The zoning law was passed in 2008. There's a 15-year look back. We're applying in 2024. So whether they say, whether they may not approve because we technically might not meet the 15-year.
Well, she froze up.
Mary, you're frozen. Can you hear us? Not saying anything.
She was having some difficulty initially when she logged on.
Yeah, last time she had the same issues as well. Oh, now she's back,
Oh.
but we can't hear her. We can't hear you. Or at least I can't.
Can't hear or see her.
I see her.
I see her. She's moving her lips.
Yeah, I'm sorry
Oh,
about
there.
that meeting today, and everything went fine. So I don't know what's going on. If it keeps happening, maybe I'll just go on my phone. So anyway,
Let's
as those two actions plus the greenhouse gas tracking system for 5 points, I documented the methodology.
Here.
She's gone.
Disappeared into cyberspace.
Right. Okay, we've got her.
He's just going to use a phone.
Right.
Okay, I'm back.
Yay.
All right, let's give it another go. Okay, so anyway, those three actions, I'm not sure we're going to get points for, but
Jeez.
Wow, there.
I don't know what's going on.
Yep, you're back.
Okay. I am sure.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah, we've got two
Hold
of
on.
you,
You need
Mary.
you need to mute one of your devices, Mary.
Yeah, you need to log out of the computer or something, or out of the phone.
Okay, I am now on my phone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Loud and clear,
Pardon me?
loud and clear.
Until not.
Never mind.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't even laugh.
If you
It
unmute
happens.
yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 Okay. All righty. So we are on the recertification process. And as I said,
Walk fast, Mary.
Right, really.
Oh, gosh. Bad luck.
I got on late, just a bunch of stuff happened at the last minute, but it doesn't seem like I missed much.
No, or me. Poor Mary.
I know. She's snake bit on this.
I have an idea. Leslie left.
Should we do it all
Hey,
by audio?
Hey, Leslie,
Yeah,
since I'm vice chair, could you, there's an EMC report as the next thing until Mary gets back. Could you do?
oh, sure. You know what? I got to think about what we did. Yeah, I forgot about that. Um, yes, I know what it was. Yep. A gentleman from a firm came in and he presented on this process of producing biogas from waste. And it's a very efficient circular system without any uh, waste. And when there is when there is uh, the need for like output, they do have a flare that goes like for like an emergency like release. But they do burn methane, but it's not like open combustion. It's an entirely internal process. And they've been trying for 20 years to get a permit to open a facility in Montgomery. And they're still working on it, but he explained the technology, and it was pretty interesting, I will say. So and that was the entire meeting, was like an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes of this gentleman's presentation.
So do they have a facility that's up and running and actually producing?
No, they don't. That's it's in the certainly research and development, and they're ready to go into production, but it's would be super expensive. But the town of Montgomery and Orange County is interested in having this facility, and they've tried, they're working on getting a permit. And this guy is like, he's in his, later years, and he said he hopes that they can get a permit before
Before he expires.
before he is no longer here.
So
Reaches
is this
the
using-
expiration date.
I'm sorry, Scott, Skip. what
No,
were
go
you-
ahead. No, I was
I
being,
was gonna
So
ask if this was using methane from cows?
No,
No.
no, it's municipal garbage, but it's like sorting everything out that can be reused, everything like, electronic waste, all of that. And then I don't have the figures right with me. I jotted down some notes, but and then, so much of the trash that we throw away, if you don't compost, is household food. And so a lot of it would be the stuff that is not, the first thing that they would do is sort everything, reuse, repurpose, recycle, everything that is reusable, repurposable, recyclable. Take the whatever matter's left over that's biological matter, carbon-based matter, and cook it kind of in this internal system that uses sand and high heat and this sort of and they produce char, and it's like a kind of an anaerobic burn. And if
Mhm.
you like know anybody that does like flint and steel, they all have char, which is like linen that they put in a fire in a anaerobic situation or very, very little oxygen. So it never actually flames up. It just makes like this ash. And it is like perpetuating system. And I don't understand all the science, I must say that. But if in the course of this meeting, I can grab my file and come up with the name of the business and like you can look at it. So, but that was the whole meeting was that.
Well,
Interesting,
it might short circuit having to build a landfill.
right.
Well, that's the idea because that they were talking about, Seneca landfill and that, the last thing you want to do is burn stuff, but that if you can pull out everything that can be repurposed, recycled, reused, and then burn the biological, the carbon-based material in this closed, virtually pollution-free system, it would be, kind of an amazing technology.
And you're not releasing methane.
No, I mean, unless something went wrong and they had to release methane and they have an emergency flare that would just, it would burn the methane that was coming out.
Right,
It would be like a stack that burns methane. It would last, however long and shut down.
right.
Because it could only burn what's there. And there were like whatever was going through the system at that moment, that methane would burn and then it would be done. So it sounded like quite an elegant, sophisticated system.
Do we have Mary back?
Yes, Mary is back. I'm on my
Okay, Mary.
phone.
We went on to do the second item, Leslie's report from the EMC. So take it over.
Yeah, I got half of Leslie's report, but I can certainly check back with her and read it in the minutes. So thank you, Mike, for carrying on. Keep calm and carry on, as we say. Okay, so next is the planning board report. So Carol, do you
Yep.
have a report?
I do. It's kind of minor in that we reviewed the villa one more time because of the discovery of the Lasher home, who houses people with cerebral palsy. And they just wanted to make sure that their concerns were met. So they had met with the developers and came up with some plan. And we did the neg deck on that process. So now it can go back to the town board and they can have a public meeting and deal with the zoning. So that's where that's at.
Okay, so essentially you're saying that the issues with the Lasser home are being resolved or have been resolved.
Are being addressed. And from my reading of the material, I haven't heard it directly from the Lasher home, but yes, they all
Okay.
feel like they've come up with some solutions that will work.
Okay, okay, and the Lasher home is adjacent to the property, as I saw. It adjacent to the development.
Yeah, it is. It's, they have, I forget what their setback is on the Lasher home, is quite close to the lot line.
Mhm, okay,
And parking on the other side, they've uh, there was already plans for a planting area anyway there. I think the other concern was dust and noise. So they're talking about making all the large equipment use a diesel that doesn't put out a huge amount of emissions, which is probably good for all of us. And I don't remember the dust, but I think they were going to figure out ways of keeping the dust down. So hopefully the impact will be
Yeah,
less.
now you're breaking up.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Can I
Bye.
ask a question?
Okay.
Sure.
I rode down Spalding Lane because I didn't know where all this was.
Hmm.
And the main issue, and Spalding Lane, and it's a great project, but the main issue is Spalding Lane is a really narrow residential street, and they're concerned with increased traffic. Is there any proposal for an alternate road out of this project?
No, they looked into it because we've often tried to find, there's that gas station on 9W, and there was going to be another kind of, we've looked at 2 or 3 developments there over the last 10 years, let's say. And there was going to be a road into that particular project 5 years ago. And it didn't work because it was, I think it had to do with sensitive overlay. So there's really no real easy way to do this, to create the additional access. That now I'm talking about habitat. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Off of Spalding
I'm
Lane.
talking about traffic and
Yeah, so well,
habitat.
Spalding Lane admittedly is a narrow road. It's a residential road, but there's off to the right is habitat, and then if you go a little further, there's another huge development. And then if you go a little further, there's already another huge development there too. And now we're talking about 122 units. Those
Yeah.
other developments are even larger than the 122, if I remember right. It's a lot of cars, but they've looked at the traffic studies and they said that at peak, it would be 30 cars an hour for that peak hour. So I was on my road. Traffic's been diverted on my road in the morning. Within 5 minutes, I count 5 cars, and it's a lot of cars at 1 per minute. And this is 1 car every 2 minutes. So, admittedly, it's an issue. I don't know that it increases it dramatically because there's already so many other units off this road. And we've talked about the idea of putting in speed bumps. I don't know if that's going to be acceptable to the owners or not. That might help calm the traffic. That's my main concern, is that people could speed because it's a relatively straight road. And, so that's an issue, but it is right now going to zoning. We'll see what zoning suggests. And then we'll have to come back and deal with if it's approved, which I hope it is, to tell you the truth. But we'll have to look at all the issues that are now, that will now be present while we're dealing with it.
Thank you.
Did we lose Mary again?
Uh-oh. Oh, let's see,
Is she up here or down
Mm.
in Westchester?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does anybody have the agenda right in front of them?
No.
Yeah, I do. The next thing is the town board liaison report.
That's Zach. Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So just to start, I know Carol was just touching on the villas. As she mentioned, issues brought up about the Lasher House and impacts or potential impacts that were not reflected in their first assessment. They obviously withdrew their public hearing dates, so we are just waiting to be contacted back to schedule a fresh set of 2 public hearing dates. So those will be occurring, I'm assuming, sometime in the near future. In terms of Winston Farm, there is no update there. They're still in the middle of their environmental review. We have not been given any sort of check-in or update at this time. The two biggest things at the moment that the board, I believe, is our time is being taken up with is the police department and now the 2024 budget proposal.
Right.
In terms of the budget proposal, we will be hosting our first workshop next Tuesday, the 25th at 5:30 p.m. That will be at the Senior Citizen Center. So obviously that is open to the public. If any of you have any questions that you'd like me to look into directly or ask on your behalf, if you can't attend, feel free to get in contact with me. I'll be happy to do so. In terms of the police department, just last night at our board meeting, we did have another patrol officer resignation. Officer Matt Monaco is leaving us effective next Monday. He's going on to a different department. So what we're trying to do as a board is, we're rapidly approaching the new year. I think a couple things are happening, and I believe, this is happening all over, but law enforcement right now, I think overall is a tough job. I think recruitment and retention are difficult amongst a lot of different departments, not just here locally, but I think a lot of the issues with our possible previous administration, and the unknown at the moment about what the direction of the police department's going to look like in terms of leadership. So our goal as the town board is really to enter January 1st with a new police chief, with a new contract. We're not entirely sure what that's going to look like at the moment, but that's what we are in the middle of looking into is who's going to take the reins on that department and try to get us back on track. We have a lot of vacancies in that department at the moment. I've had some very productive conversations with Supervisor Costello and Councilman Ivino. It sounds like the three of us are very much in agreement that once we solidify who we would like our new chief to be, once that selection's made, we can really look at making some cuts to other administrative positions. It's my belief, and I think, like I said, the three of us agree that the size of our police department and the needs for our community, we don't necessarily need a police chief, a deputy police chief, a captain, 2 lieutenants. I don't think our department is, requires that much brass at the top. So we're looking to possibly make some cuts there, do some restructuring in terms of a department flow chart, which ultimately will, of course, save taxpayer dollars. So that's what we're really in the thick of right now is our police department at the upcoming budget. That's all I really have at the moment.
Okay.
can
Mary,
I ask-
is
I-
Mary back?
Doesn't look like it.
I'd like to just ask, can I ask a question about the police department? The
Absolutely.
village is not, the village is not part of it yet, or will never be.
Yes.
No.
Or it is.
Those two
Yes,
things are
yes, it
combined.
is.
Oh, it
Yep.
is. Okay.
Yep.
And are they representing, do they have a representative on your, when you're looking for a chief?
That's a great question. Indirectly, no. I do know that we are looking for ways to engage the, that civil action committee regarding the police department. I think that would be a good opportunity for a liaison of that capacity
Yeah.
to kind of engage with the town board and help us make that decision. Because again, I think you're entirely right. I think this is going to take I think this is going to take the community, not just 5 people in front of microphones, to make this decision. So I'll definitely carry that idea to the rest of the board because I think that's a good opportunity for that to happen.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we are.
We're at announcements, but Mary
Announcements.
wanted me to talk a little bit about what I've been doing with it was at the end of the CCA, we were pretty upset with the letter because of the 50%. It's actually 100%, blah, 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 blah. So we were going to write a letter as a group to the DPS to find out what was going on there. And also, Jessica Strombeck asked us to support a bill that was in front of the state legislature, which was called the State and Local Energy Partnership Act, which what it did was take the CCA regulations from regulations to codifying them into law, basically. So I thought it might be a good idea in investigating this to find out from Hinchy's office and from Sharice's office, you know, about this bill and whether it would affect our problem, the problems we had with the letter and oversight there. And, you know, kind of how what we're looking at is some, you know, nameless bureaucrat, you know, saying we can't, you know, be more open about what these percentage of renewables are in there, because according to Strabag, they're renewables, it's just that they're out of state. You know, so I've been going back and forth with them. Hinchy's office, I finally talked to somebody there and they were going to investigate it. Teresa's office actually got somebody who actually contacted DPS and got actually 2 letters from 2 different administrators explaining this more in detail. So it's not just as simple as this is renewable energy from out of state. It has to be vetted and certified in a certain way before it becomes. So it wasn't just an arbitrary decision. Jessica didn't really relate that to us. She just said, the DPS won't let me say that these are 100% renewables. Well, actually, if you dug farther, and I can send anybody the letters, and this gets way down in the weeds, there's a process by which they certify those, what they call RECs, renewable energy credits. It's because, you know, when you get electricity, you're just getting electrons. They don't know where they came from. But to certify some amount of their power that they're supplying us, they have these certificates called renewable energy certificates. And that's what's actually presented and exchanged, you know, and then as once it's exchanged, they go out because you've used them all. You've used that part of the electric that you supply that was renewable, and you've used up your certificate. So there's certain vetting going on with those certificates that has to be done to make sure that they are. There's an in-state thing, which all the New York State people who do renewables have to go through. But out of state, it's a little bit different. So apparently, there's some more hoops to jump through to be able to say those out-of-state RECs, those out-of-state energy is actually renewable. It's kind of like organic certification. I relate to it like that. That, you know, you're presented with these things and they call them organic, but how do you know? Well, there's a certification process. So the out-of-state process to be able to say that they're renewable, you know, you have to go through certain things. According to Ben at Sharice's office, that people have not, other administrators have not found that to be a particularly onerous thing to do. But in this conversation, Jewel never kind of related it in those terms. She just said, oh, they don't let us, these are renewable, but they don't let us do it. She didn't say, we didn't find the right, or we didn't get the right certification. That's why we can't say it. Apparently, that's what happened. If anybody wants to know, and the DSP wasn't being arbitrary about this, and it's way down in the weeds, and I've got the 2 letters. If anybody would like to see them, I sent them to Mike and to Mary. And if you read this and you read what Ben sent, the situation becomes, it's not quite as simple as, oh yeah, we got renewables from out of state, but they won't let us say anything about it. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So I don't think we have to write a letter to DPS. We've got the answers. We've got 2 responses that Ben got from DPS officials that explains why. So, and I think we have to go back, whether we use Jewel or not next time, we have to go back to them and say, you know, you got to explain this more completely. It's not as simple as it was. The other thing I thought, there might be a connection, because we thought it might be an arbitrary thing that they denied us. We thought part of it is that, yeah, they're trying to promote renewables from within state. That's part of it, but that's not the whole story. So that's part of the story, and the certification is why that administrator wasn't allowed to say that what they were offering as supply was 100% renewable. So I thought that might be connected, that, who's in charge here with this new law, this new bill, which codifies the CCA regulations into law. So that was my second question to both these, both our representatives. And the answer wasn't clear, but it seemed that from the first response that I think it's a good idea that they vet. So we can say that for sure, these things that we're giving you are renewable energy. You're paying a little bit more, but they are certified as renewable energy, just as you would pay a little bit more for organic food, but it's non-GMO or whatever. So that's how far I've gotten. I think what it tells us is next time we talk with an administrator, we have to be more involved in questioning where those sources come. We were kind of left out of that procurement process. Actually, Hannah Karp at Jewel sent both Mary and I questionnaires, asking what we thought of the system. And, it was a pretty good thing. And we brought up all those mentioned all those things in that questionnaire, addressed those things. So that's good that the state wanted feedback on what's happening with the CCA. So all that's input also. So we've got input in. So I don't think we have to do those two letters. And I think what it tells us is next time, whoever we choose as an administrator, we've got to be more involved, or be able to be more involved in that procurement process and find out for sure where they're sourcing stuff. When they say, okay, they won't let us say it's renewables, but it really is, and it's just an arbitrary distinction. That wasn't really the whole situation. So that clears up the situation a lot more. When it first was presented to us, it sounded like somebody was just making an arbitrary decision in DPS, some unknown bureaucrat, but that wasn't the case. There were certain things, and they actually didn't meet what Jewel had presented, wasn't complete enough to certify that those were renewable RECs, that was going to be renewable power. So that's what was going on there. So that's,
Skip,
teaches us that we have to be more involved.
Skip, could you send, I know I received those two letters. Can you send them to Mary to be distributed?
Yes.
So
Thank you, Skip.
everybody
Yes.
will see what the answer from the Assemblywoman was
Yes.
and what we can do. Zach, go ahead.
No, I was just thank you, Mike. I was just gonna ask Skip if he would be able to send that information. I would just I would like to read that as well.
Yeah, sure. Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Thank you guys very much.
I have to give kudos to, because Hinchy, even though I finally got to talk to somebody, and I talked to him at length about it, maybe half an hour, and they said, okay, we're going to investigate this. But actually, Sharice's office actually got to the DPS and got, specific answers on this question from two different officials. So kudos to them. They went out there for
Good.
us, so that's really a positive thing. And it really cleared it up to me. I'm a little, now that I've told some people, you're getting all recyclable or renewable energy. Now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that Jewel did due diligence here.
right.
Hmm.
Okay, where are we? Let's see.
Mike, I have an announcement.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, it'll just take a minute.
Take as long as you need.
Okay, this is about the natural resource inventory that we had spoken about as a project that we could get credits for the Climate Smart program. It was, Climate Smart or Clean Energy. Now I can't remember which one, but I did find that the Hudson River Estuary program through DEC gave a $50,000 grant to the city of Newburgh for a natural resource inventory. So it appears that they have given money for that, and I reached out to them, but I have not heard back yet about whether they would be offering similar funding in the coming year that we could apply for. So I'll let you know as soon as I find out.
That'd be fantastic. That'd be great.
Yeah. Is Mary back?
I don't see her.
Well, I see a picture. That's it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
here.
Mary, take it over.
I've been zooming in and out. So I just heard Kathleen report about the possibility of an estuary grant. Are we on announcements?
We're still on announcements.
Yeah, I did the whole thing about the CCA, Mary.
Yeah, I heard part of that, Skip. I was in and out of that. And
Okay.
so and I got the letter, so I'm familiar with the topic. So thank you,
Right, okay.
Skip, for that.
Yeah.
So we're
Now,
on
Mary,
announcements.
Mike
Yeah.
asked that you distributed that to others. And Zach
That I
wanted a copy.
that I distribute.
Yeah, it's distributed to others. He requested that. And Zach definitely wanted a copy. Both Ben's, I think I sent it to you in a package. Ben's response and the two letters were attached to that email. So I think
Okay.
that's okay. So if at least Zach, if anybody wants it or doesn't want it, they can say, but Mike asked that it be distributed. So
Okay, will do. Were there any other announcements? I did want to, before I get knocked off again, if I can just mention about the Flood Resiliency Network.
Yes, I have a question
Leslie?
about that.
Yes.
Mary, I received an email from Catherine Bevier, I think her name was, with the DEs about a informational program or a webinar for farmers to protect their land from flooding. And I was wondering if that was part of the I guess Catherine might know, or Leslie, but I was going to sign up for that. But is it in person? I think it's an all-day in-person meeting, and I wasn't sure whether I could do that. I mean, I could try to make the time, but if that is that part of what we were talking about, the resiliency, Mid-Hudson Valley flood resiliency program?
Elizabeth, I don't know. There is a Zoom meeting tomorrow at noon, which I have said I will attend. So I don't know. Kathleen, perhaps you might know because you had worked with this group prior.
No, I don't know about that. I don't. I mean, if there's a Zoom meeting on it, I think it's a good idea to attend.
No, it seemed to be an all-day in-person program, but it's held at the plaza, that the Farm Bureau headquarters, the Cornell Farm Bureau headquarters. I don't know the complete title of it, but I know
where Cornell Cooperative?
Yes.
Well, that Cornell Cooperative is in Kingston, isn't it? I mean, I don't know which one.
Oh, that's right. It is. It's right near the art store, the Catskill Art Supply store. And I'm there I'm in the area sometimes, and I could try to make it does seem like a big block of time, in-person time. So I didn't know whether that was recommended to attend or not.
Perhaps, Elizabeth, you could reach out to them and ask them the question. That might be the most direct way to get an answer.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Because I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think perhaps if you just ask them directly and you can get more detail about it.
I don't think it is part of this,
helpful.
of the program that Catherine was talking about. I think it's something separate, particularly geared for farmers, but I'll inquire.
Yeah, it was not clear to me
Leslie,
if it was part
for
of
the Flood Resiliency Network, I know I signed up for the one tomorrow, so perhaps at the next meeting, do we know who else has signed up for any of the others?
I don't know what other webinars there are, but I was interested in that, but I have something that is in conflict with it. So I know it's just a noon to 1 thing. I got something at 1 in person in Saugerties. And then you probably did too. I just got an email yesterday from Jessica. I don't know how to say her last name, Coonan or something like that. And reminding me about that. I mean, specifically to me, she said, hey, I didn't see that you registered. You can register here. And then she puts out 2 there's that one tomorrow that you're going to. If I join, I can only join for half an hour. And then there's November 14th and 16th in person, one in Albany, one in Yonkers. I would not be inclined to go to Yonkers, but I could be if I think that day's open for me. 5 hours in person in Albany. So these are pretty big commitments of time, I will say.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's gone. She's gone
I could
again.
do an online one, but not long in-person one.
Oh, God, I would slip my wrist if I had to be in a 5-hour Zoom.
Well, and having to go
So
back
we
to
don't want you
work.
to go then.
I would drink heavily or slip my wrist or both. I don't.
Are there any other announcements before we adjourn this part of
With
the
our
meeting?
wrists.
Are we good? Okay, so we're gonna adjourn this, all in favor of adjourning
Adjourning.
the task force meeting, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we go on to the next thing. I'm opening up my email again. Okay, so we need approval of the minutes of September 21st. Were there any corrections to the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? Okay. And the next thing I think is something on the
Invasive species grant program.
Okay, I'm
okay,
back,
thank
guys.
you. That's Leslie for sure.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm
Not
back. So
really.
let me
No, it's not really, Leslie.
let me just quickly, by
Oh,
way
I'm
of
sorry.
background, but just quickly before I get knocked off of this again. This was a grant program that came to my attention last Thursday. And when I looked at it, and it said that it was for, one of the grants would be for mechanical removal of invasive species. So that absolutely caught my attention. And when I looked into it further, I saw that there was a grant for up to $100,000. And I remembered that a new harvester for removing the milfoil from the creek was talked about by the town and the village maybe 2 years ago around. So I knew that this was something that was of interest to the town back then. And I also noticed that there was a 25% match. And I also noticed that they like intermunicipal cooperation. So this would be a grant that we would apply for. And it would be a town and village cooperative effort. So I got really excited about it, and I sent it to Leslie and I sent it to Kathleen. And I spoke to Kathleen about it on Monday to see if it was doable, because the deadline is November 1st. So I thought before we go any further with this, let's see if Kathleen can even do it. At which point Kathleen and I talked, and we decided that let's make sure or touch base with the supervisor to see if this is something the town would want us to pursue. So Kathleen, you talk to Fred, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Kathleen, to follow up.
Yes, Fred and I talked about it, and he felt that the village should take the lead on this. Because most of the area that's being cleaned up, I think, or a lot of it is in the village. And I believe he said the village owns the harvester. We may have contributed something toward it,
Right. That
but
is
I
correct.
think it's owned by the village. So he I emailed some information to IL Saad at the village and copied Fred, and Fred said he would be willing to support in whatever way if we had to help with a match, but he felt that it should come from the village and that the village grant writer should do it. So, and I never heard back from IL. So, and I feel it's a short time frame to get a good application in. And maybe if they offer this again next year, that would be a better time to do it. And if we had more lead time to work on it. because it's just more complex when you're trying to work with another municipality in terms of getting information back and forth and getting it together for a proposal. So,
Yeah,
The projects are intended to be 3-year projects and require reporting to the New York State database, doing surveys and basically doing the kind of thing that I did. And it doesn't seem like the village was very interested in engaging in that sort of thing,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know that this would pay for buying a harvester. I'm not sure, but who knows? It can apply, but it's more than just buying a harvest. It's the whole program that's got a lot of reporting and responsibilities.
and I also felt that they would be looking for technical information now in the application describing our issues. And I know you've done a lot of research and maybe you have what they need, but maybe you don't. I don't know. So I just think the time frame is very short.
Yeah,
And one of the things that we're working on, that I'm going to be working on in the next week or so, or the next 2 weeks, is getting together a $100,000 grant for the chiller for the ice arena, because that price doubled. It went from like $569,000 pre-COVID to 1.2 million.
Whoa. And we
the
had a
grant, and the grant that was provided by the state was about 266,000, something like that, maybe $269,000. And when the project was only a little over 500, that was good. That was about half. But now it's not half. So when I last spoke to Fred about grants, he said, find some money for the chiller if you can. So this is through the Partners for Climate Change, Hudson Valley. And I did contact someone there and they said they would consider up to $100,000 for that project. And a couple of things that we have going for us are that it's part of our climate action plan to address that. And we've done a greenhouse gas emissions study. So we have 2 documents that show that it's the part of government buildings that creates the most greenhouse gas emissions. And so I think we would have a very competitive application applying for that. So that's what we're focusing on right now. And the other thing is that I have to gather information about the lighting project at Town Hall, because we still have, that grant is still open and I'm not sure. I just emailed Greg and Kevin Brown, even though he's not working for us anymore, about are we completely finished with that? We have received $2,500 of that grant, but there's another $7,500. I have to submit documentation to let them know that we finished the project. Hopefully it's finished. And that is due the end of January, that grant period closes. And I do know that Greg has busy periods when he can't, work on that stuff, when he's very busy with the public. So my goal today was just to remind everybody that the grant period ends the end of January and we need to get our information together. And if it's not finished, we need to finish the work. And then I have to go into the portal and submit all the required information so we can get the balance of that grant.
Sounds very challenging.
Well, one of the challenging things about doing this is getting the information that you need. It's not just a matter of putting it on the website. It's getting the information that people have to get from their departments, and everyone's busy. So you kind of have to be a pest and just keep after them until you get what you want. by the deadline.
Hard job.
Thanks for being a pest.
Okay, Mary is evaporated. Are there any announcements in terms of this part of the meeting? No?
You know, there is, I don't know if anybody's interested, there's a celebration of Vernon Benjamin at the Cantine Field tomorrow at noon, right off of
Ooh.
Washington Avenue. I don't know if they're gonna do a plaque or something, but it was mentioned last night or night before last at the ECC meeting. So anybody that wants to come and honor Vernon, it's off of Washington Avenue at noon tomorrow by Cantine Field.
Right at the entrance there to?
Yeah, I guess. I think so. Somewhere in
Okay.
that playground area. And I don't know if there's going to be a plaque or what, but it's some
The
sort of,
Lions Club playground over there?
yeah.
Okay,
So anybody who wants, I mean, he was a real help to our, situation here as he was to ECC. So
absolutely.
it would be good to honor him. So that's happening tomorrow at noon.
Okay, I'll try to get over there. Any other announcements? Okay, so we can call for adjournment of the meeting until next month, I guess.
Okay.
All in favor?
Hi.
Hey.
Okay, opposed? Okay, Zach, anything else you need to say?
No, I think I'm all set for this evening. But if anything transpires, obviously between now and our next meeting, I'll be in contact.
Okay. All right, so we are adjourned, guys.
Thank you,
See ya.
everybody.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank you
good
very
night.
much.
Take
Good night.
care, everyone.
Good night.
I just gotta